pull down is a posterior oblique sling strengthening exercise. So it's going to focus on strengthening the connection between the lat to the opposite glute across the SI joint to help stabilize that joint and strengthen the posterior chain. For the bridge march with pull down, you're going to attach a band probably around knee level. If you're using a door frame, you can do it either underneath the door frame, or if you have a door anchor, somewhere below the doorknob would be a good height. From there, I'm going to come and align my head to the point of attachment. So I'm going to come down into my back so that when I pull the band, I'm going to feel tension to bring it just to even above my shoulder. And then eventually I'm going to pull it all the way down so that it comes down towards my hip. So I don't want to be so close that the band has like no tension at this point, but I don't want to be so far that it's really challenging to pull the band down. As I pull the band down, I want to focus on keeping an open chest position, so I don't want the shoulders to roll inwards as I pull. So I'm going to exhale to pull the band down, and then I'll do some variation with my leg. The first variation that we can do is we can pull down with both hands, and then I'm just going to lift one leg up at a time, but keeping a supine position. So my hips are going to stay down on the ground. So this will be the easiest variation. So I'm going to exhale to pull down as I lift one knee, and then inhale to lower back down. Exhale to pull as I lift, inhale to lower down. I could spread the hands a little bit further so I can get more to the hip as I lift, and then back down. So it just kind of depends on the variation that you want to do with just the supine bridge march. The next variation that we can do with the supine position is we can add a knee press. So I'm going to alternate which hand is pulling, and that same side knee is going to lift up that I pull down, and then I'm going to press with that free hand. So I have more of that anterior oblique sling working with that chest oblique to opposite adductor now. And then I'll switch sides. So I'm going to pull down, press with my free hand into that lifted knee, and then inhale to lower down. So that'll be the advancement of the supine bridge march with pull down. The next thing that we can do is we can elevate the hips into that bridge march position. So as I pull the band down, I'm going to lift one leg up at a time. As I do the bridge march, I want to focus on not dropping in the hips. So I want the hips to stay level as I lift. So a helpful thing to do is to think I'm putting weight into this leg even though both feet are down on the ground. So I'm shifting the weight into this leg, and then I'm going to hover and then lift the leg. So I'm going to be very intentional with the way that I do this. So I'm going to put weight into this opposite leg now, slight hover, and then lift. And you can see how well my hips are able to maintain their position as opposed to if I rush the movement. So I can pull down with both hands. I'm going to exhale to pull down as I lift the leg. Inhale to lower down. Exhale, pull down as I lift. You can also do this with just a single arm position. So pull down as I lift the same side leg. Switch sides, pull down as I lift the same side leg. And then similar to the supine one, we can also add that knee press. So I'm going to exhale, lift, press into the knee, switch sides. Exhale, lift, press into the knee, switch sides. So we have several variations to the bridge march with pull down. We can keep both hips down as I lift one hip at a time, either single arm or both arms. I could add that knee press to a supine position. Then I can elevate the hips, lifting the same side knee of moving if I'm doing single arm or both arms. And then I can add that knee press as well. So several variations to this movement. Elevating the hips will require more of a stability demand. So if you're having pain with single leg pivoting type movements, I would recommend keeping the hips down on the ground. If I wanted to advance the bridge march with pull down, I can also do a hanging bridge march. With the hanging bridge march, I could take a mini band and I could put it around the feet, but this would be optional, so it's going to be around the arches of my feet. I'm going to come back to the rings, and I should be in a position where my back is kind of hovering. I'm going to elevate my hips, and then I'm maintaining tension between my shoulder blades. So I'm not just sagging here, and then I'm going to lift one foot up at a time, trying to maintain my hip position. So I'm going to think, put weight into one foot, slight hover, and then lift. Put weight into the other foot, slight hover, and then lift. Another variation of the hanging bridge march is instead of rings, I can also use a barbell in an inverted row position. So I'm going to come back, holding onto the bar. I'm going to bring my hips forward and then elevate them, and I'm maintaining tension in my upper back. So I'm not just sagging here. And then from here, I'm just going to lift one leg up at a time. And then again, you have the option to put the mini band around the feet to make it a little bit more challenging. But the biggest thing is to maintain the tension in the upper back, to hold yourself actively against the bar, and then keeping the hips level as you lift one foot at a time.